Federal Labor Member of Parliament Mike Kelly wrote a full-page article in the Australian Jewish News where he tries to persuade us all that Labor is still a friend of Israel. But I am not convinced. He says that the Labor Party understands that the Middle East is a matter for a Labor government and its executive to decide. That may be so, but that still doesn't stop the anti-Israel, pro-Palestinian, one eye on the Muslim demographics activists within the party from swinging into action with as much vigour as they can muster. Kelly says that Labor's resolution does not commit a future Labor government to any recognition of a state of Palestine, specify any particular time frame, nor dictate what circumstances would need to be met for this to occur. Is this supposed to make us feel happy? Well, it doesn't particularly tickle my funny bone, because all he is saying is that a Labor government may not move towards this recognition until they are ready. But that can mean anything. What if they decide to be ready shortly after winning an election? They could then correctly say that even though they did not propose recognising Palestine at their conference last year, on balance, they have now decided that this would be a good idea. And this is after all those supporters of Israel may have voted for them in a federal election that got them into power. Then Kelly trotted out that well-worn canard of a two-state solution being the only viable option for peace in the region. The two-state solution may have been a great idea between about 1920 until just after the Six-Day War in 1967, but that was when the Arabs realised that they could not defeat Israel militarily and changed tactics by trying to do this via the creation of a Palestinian narrative. But since then, it has become patently obvious that the Palestinian Arabs have not the slightest intention of working towards a state of their own next to Israel, but rather a Palestinian state instead of Israel. Kelly correctly acknowledged that in order to advance the process, Israel actually withdrew from Gaza and dismantled a number of, quote, illegal settlements in Judea and Samaria. But he then conveniently forgot to mention the consequences of those actions, actions that have a significant bearing on what the future of the region may look like. You know, like the establishment of another terrorist state in Gaza, which actually came into being, and the prospect of something similar happening in Judea and Samaria if Israel just packed up and left the area. Kelly said that Labor would not do anything without a proper consultative process. Well, we all know what that means, which is that they would talk to the leftist Jewish organisations, talk to the Muslim community, and then do what they've always wanted to do, abandon support for a long-time ally and repay the Muslims for voting for them. Kelly then said that a responsible and prudent Labor government would seek outcomes such as a Palestinian nation purporting to support democratic and human rights values. Dream on, mate. Everyone knows that a Palestinian state wouldn't even come close to supporting democratic and human rights values. And did you get the subtle wording? Kelly didn't say that any future state of Palestine would have to prove themselves as supportive of democracy and human rights. They would only have to purport to do so. In other words, they can mouth all the platitudes that a Labor government would want to hear, but in reality still end up with another Islamist state just a stone's throw away from Israel. Oh well, we are trying our best, they can say, and a Labor government will just smile and pat them on the back like good leftists that they are. Kelly goes to great lengths in describing how, when given the opportunity to demonstrate a willingness to build a functioning democratic state, all the Palestinians in Gaza did was elect Hamas, which abandoned every one of those ideals and proved to the world that expecting anything better from the Palestinian Arabs is a waste of time. Then comes the clincher from the Labor Party. Don't worry, because the resolution passed at the conference is non-binding. Well, if it always was going to be non-binding, why has the party pushed so hard over many years to get it passed? Mike Kelly concludes that we should all rest assured that a future Labor government will always ensure that Israel's security remains paramount and that a viable Palestinian state next door will present no threat. Is he joking? I'm certainly not reassured by anything that Labor does, and you only need to look at the trends overseas to see where they are heading. The UK may be ahead of us in hatred of Israel, but it is only a matter of time until we catch up, especially if Labor wins the election here later this year. This man is living in fairyland if he believes that the Palestinians want a state of their own and that one that provides a mechanism for self-determination. They actually tell the world what they really want, but the world refuses to hear it, and that is that the Palestinians simply want to get rid of Israel. With the great work of Palestinian Media Watch and Memory, there is ample evidence of Palestinian leaders speaking in Arabic to their population and saying exactly this. Then they smile sweetly at the cameras of the West and with a doleful eye tell us that they are really nice people who just want to be left alone and able to live their own lives. Their whole story was a pack of lies when it started in the mid-1960s, and it is still a pack of lies today. The Palestinian Arabs have managed to hoodwink most of a gullible West, including the Labor movement worldwide and much of Australia's communal leadership. But there is only one organisation prepared to call them out and hold them accountable. I am referring, of course, to the Australian Jewish Association. Please support us, because in this climate of rising anti-Semitism around the world, the future of Israel could be at stake. This is Alan Friedman from Nothing Left for the Australian Jewish Association.